My first question, what I want to ask, what I said, the journey of a hero. And usually, and in our sessions also, you've said, in the end, he must be transformed, whichever way it is. I've heard you say this in your classes that, the journey of the hero will be interesting only when in the end he is transformed, whichever one way, either spiritually or emotionally or psychologically. But what doubt I have in my mind is, what about stories that are tragedies? The first thing that comes to my mind is Romeo Juliet, because it is a tragedy. They both die in the end. And in the Hindi films, Ek Duje Ke Liye, they both die. So, what have they transformed spiritually or psychologically or emotionally?
Okay. How do you see Romeo and Juliet? As what kind of story it is?
A love story.
Okay. So, in a love story, what is the important trait for a person to fall in love? You feel the emotion is one thing. You pursue a relationship is an action. You feel the emotion, the love, that part is the emotional part of it. Okay? You actually going ahead and pursuing it is the action, physical action that you are doing, right? Because unless you express your love to someone, the other person is not aware of it. And the other person doesn't know how to reciprocate. When you actually do this action, what is your goal? I am in love with this person. I want to go and tell her. The goal is, if she is okay with it, I may have a beautiful relationship. So the source of that thought process, that goal, is hope. And when the hope is lost, then there is nothing worthwhile. There's no use living. So death is end of hope. So the Romeo and Juliet story is a journey from hope to despair.
But my question is, what has transformed?
A person who had hope has lost hope.
So that's transformed, and
That's change in the equation, right? Transformation means change in the status quo. You understand? I may be a frugal guy. I may become generous in the end. I may be a generous guy. I may become frugal in the end. Change in the status quo. So, to me, as an audience, your story starts from despair, goes to hope, and comes back to despair. Full circle.
okay, full circle, but does that show any growth?
See, we are not talking about growth, we are talking about transformation. A story needs a change in the status quo. Otherwise, why we are watching it? The whole thing has happened and we are back to square one. What is the use? Unless in that whole process something has changed.
Yes. So mine goes from hopeless to hope to hopeless again. Now, also I remember you said that the protagonist, should have goals, problems, and solution.
Better word would be resolution. In cinema, solution means resolution. That means some result of the endeavor. It doesn't have to be a way to solve the problem. Maybe in the end you realize the problem cannot be solved. Like in Planet of the Apes, the hero goes through the entire journey. He was trying to escape the planet of the apes, only to realize that the apes have taken over his planet too. So there is no fixing of the problem, but there is an end to the story. So solution word gives an idea that there is some fixing to the problem. Resolution is a result of whatever the hero did to fix the problem.
So, okay, then that again answered my question, because I had started having doubts that if she takes her life, then is that considered a solution? Is my hero a hero? And then I started to think about Ek Duje Ke Liye, Romeo Juliet. Then if, you know, but you answered my question, I'm just telling you my doubt now. That if in the end it's all about despair and there is no growth in the hero, in the character, which you always keep saying that there should be a growth in the character, there should be a growth in your protagonist. So when the growth leads to death, is that a growth, and does that make a hero? Or
See, your story is a tragedy, right?
yes,
So yes, in that sense, the end of hero, the way he has realized after going through the entire ordeal of the story, is that no matter what she did, it was pointless. You understand? So that's your take as a writer on the way life is. What is the definition of a hero? Better term is protagonist, a person around whom the story revolves, rather than person and entity. When we say protagonist, then we know that the definition is that the whole story revolves around this person. When we see it as an hero, we kind of get bogged by the other definitions of the hero is someone who has done, extraordinary work or heroic deeds or something. You understand?
yes.
So these are the problems with the jargons that are used in the industry. But very simplest term to define is the central character around whom the whole story revolves. Even when we say hero, when we say protagonist, when we say anything else, main lead, doesn't matter. It means that this is the central character around whom the entire story revolves. And this story has this to offer.
So now I feel completely good, because when I started to write Maya and I kind of wrote a bit about her, and then I went and revisited my story and I wrote a few lines. So my first page starts as, "What is that you search, oh soul of mine? A voice that says everything will be fine. Look for a road, not ways. In thy mind runs imagination wild. The journey is important, not the destination," replies the child.
Mm.
So basically, now when we talk so much about the hero's journey, I just wanted to sum it up with this is that the journey is important. The destination could be anything, like you said.
See, look at any story structure. Okay. If you go into very in-depth craft, it's allocated that, the first 10-15 minutes is the setup. The last 10-15 minutes is the climax. Everything else is the story. Good chunk of your narrative is the story. And that is the journey, right? So in the end, of course, audience sometimes feel cheated when they have emotionally invested in a hero and the hero feels defeated. And that's the beauty of it. The audience wants your hero to win. That means you have successfully sold the idea of the hero to them.
But when my Maya takes her own life, the audience won't think that she won.
Which is the beauty of it, right? If the audience feels that, that means what? They've identified with your central character so much that now they are rooting for it. That, this person should have all the happiness in the world. The audience is the well-wisher. And your idea of storytelling is to make them the well-wisher for your hero. They should want. That doesn't mean that you should give it to them. You should follow the flow of the story. In Romeo and Juliet, if they had not died, it wouldn't have made that much impact. Of course, at that time also the audience wanted them to live longer, have a good life. But the fact that they died. See, emotional reaction on the spur of the moment is a different thing. When they delve into it and they realize that was the only possible outcome, then they'll appreciate the story.
So I'm happy because Dhruv, I think that is a hero's journey which ends in a positive way because he, all the challenges in his life, he takes them up, he goes down in the dumps, and he comes back again. While Maya, I think, Maya is a tragedy.
See, your first two projects, one being, both being a novel now. In Maya's case, the journey starts from hopelessness to hope, ends at hopelessness. In Dhruv's case, the journey starts from hopelessness, ends at hope. So you have done both tragedy as well as inspirational. Your story is all revolving around hope, which is not a bad thing. Every writer,
like we said in our last session, hope is one of the good things, maybe one of the best things, and good things never die.
Yeah, so every writer's story revolves around certain key emotions that they are associated or they feel strongly about. It's natural. There's nothing wrong about it.